Stacey Abrams may no longer be a lawmaker, but Democrats say she's just getting started. Next week, Abrams will deliver the Democrats' rebuttal to the president's State of the Union address. She lost her bid to be Georgia's governor in the midterms, but party leaders saw a fighter after she refused to concede the narrow election.
Pundits and hyper-partisans will hear my words as a rejection of the normal order. You see, I'm supposed to say nice things and accept my fate. They will complain that I should not use this moment to recap what was done wrong or to demand a remedy. You see, as a leader, I should be stoic in my outrage and silent in my rebuke. But stoicism is a luxury, and silence is a weapon for those who would quiet the voices of the people. And I will not concede because the erosion of our democracy is not right.
Before the midterms, President Trump said Abrams would, quote, destroy the state if she were governor. However, after the votes were in, he tweeted, quote, she will have a terrific political future. Let's bring in Greg Bluestein. He's a political reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and joins us from the Atlanta Super Bowl Experience, a massive theme park dedicated to the event this weekend. Thanks so much for joining us, Greg. A lot going on right now in your part of the country.
There is. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure to talk about things in Georgia there. It's certainly getting a lot of attention. Let's talk about Stacey Abrams, first of all. She lost her bid for governor. She's no longer a lawmaker, but now she'll be on the national stage. Why do Democratic leaders believe she is the right person for this moment?
Well, a few reasons. One, she was already a rising star in the Democratic Party before the election. Her narrow defeat to Governor Brian Kemp sort of cemented her status as a bona fide star in the Democratic Party. She has the ability to marshal black women and progressive causes because she ran as a progressive in a state where Democrats usually took more moderate stances. And she's able to kind of have a platform of voting rights at a time where Democrats are looking to stay energized through 2020.
And so what impact is she having on the Democratic Party as a whole, on the national level?
Yeah, well, her endorsement in the presidential race is already coveted, and she's seen as the figure that has made Georgia. It was already always a question about whether or not Georgia would be a legit battleground state in 2020. She's seen as the one figure, the galvanizing figure that cemented that status, that made sure that Georgia is going to be in play for Democrats in 2020.
So, Greg, you write about the, quote, curse of the State of the Union. Remind our viewers what that is, whether that's a concern for Abrams.
Yeah, well, the past Democratic responses and Republican responses to the State of the Union address, not all of them have gone so well. You had Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal's response was not very well received. Marco Rubio was mocked for his water moment. Joe Kennedy was mocked as well for his lips. So there's been issues with past responses, and Stacey Abrams is trying to avoid any sort of pratfalls with this. She's very carefully starting to prepare for a speech. It's not likely to. It might not be in Washington D.C., but she doesn't want anything to sort of go awry to derail her rise in Democratic politics.
Interestingly, Greg, just a side note, you note in your piece that in fact women have had actually a pretty good track record when it comes to State of the Union responses. Tell us about that.
They have. Women have, and other national figures have as well. You know, look, no one really remembers then Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton's early struggles with his State of the Union response, but certainly it didn't derail his political career. So Stacey Abrams is trying to take some advice from other respondees and learn from it. And Joseph Kennedy was among those who gave her some advice, among them, watch out for the chapstick.
That's right. People will remember the appearance of his lips seemed to get a lot of attention during his State of the Union response. All right, you also say, Greg, that this address could be a, quote, sign of what's to come for Abrams. What plans does she have brewing potentially?
She's been tight-lipped so far, but everyone in Georgia seems to think that she's going to challenge Senator David Perdue in 2020. No Democrat has won a Georgia Senate seat in about 2 decades. This would be instantly one of the top national races in the country. David Perdue is a first-term senator, a former Fortune 500 CEO who has tied himself to Donald Trump, who's been one of Trump's most dependable legislative allies. Stacey Abrams has been one of his loudest critics, although she didn't bring up Trump much in her campaign for governor. She has been a steadfast critic of Trump's. So it will be a referendum on Trump in its own way, and also a referendum on whether or not Georgia is truly a changing political state.